So I'm just going to start going. So just so everyone knows in terms of protocols, I'm asking that everyone remains on mute. Right now, everyone has the ability to take themselves off of mute because I want that to happen during the Q&A, but please do keep yourself on mute as much as possible. This is our first time doing this, so we're just going to sort of see how it goes and hopefully it works out so everyone can participate in the way that they want to. Just also know that this meeting is being recorded. We are figuring out where the recording will be put, probably on YouTube, possibly. I'm going to be asking Blackstone if maybe we can use their account because I wasn't able to create one today, but it will be available at some point. You might be noticing that there is a live transcript, and that is if people want to be able to read what we are saying. It is not a perfect transcript. If that is annoying, you're seeing text along the bottom of the screen, all you need to do is go to live transcript and hit hide transcript. And then also there is the chat function. The chat function, I ask people only ask questions there and be respectful in the questions they're asking. We will not be getting to every single person's questions, but we will do our best to go through them. And then you can also use the upna.president@gmail.com account if you have questions after this meeting or we are not able to get to your question. So Flavio, did Leo jump on? Let me go and see if he is on here on the participants.
I just sent him a reminder text, but I don't see him on here. But I can talk a little bit about the permitting, and I did discuss with him prior to this meeting, as you know, to see what his team is doing over there. So if he doesn't jump on, I can share a little bit of what we talked about, me and him.
So let's talk, why don't we talk about permitting then, and then I'll give a little introduction to the rodent problem after that. And if he isn't on yet, then I'll ask you to step in and talk for him, if that's okay.
Sure, it works.
So Flavio very generously has offered his time from inspectional services. So what we're going to do is have him go through any questions that people might have about the permitting process and general construction. I know there have been concerns about that. You're welcome to put your question into the chat, or there will be a point in time we'll ask for questions. You can pull yourself off of mute. I just ask that you put yourself back onto mute once you've asked the question. So Flavio, take it away.
Hi, everyone. This is Flavio De Vega. For those that haven't had the chance to meet, I'm the Director of Constituent Services over at ISD. And I also chair an investigation and enforcement team that we have out of ISD that works with more complex cases and issues. So you got your email about the issues in the North End there. So had a chance to speak with the Assistant Commissioner of Building as well, and the after-hour permitting. So it seems like you do have a lot of construction digging up going on in your area. So we talked about, the permitting process. How does that get issued? If we have multiple projects going on at the same time, with the weekend permits after hours, as well as, you have your utility companies, your water and sewer and other folks in the neighborhood doing their work too. So we have to, we're going to coordinate an effort with Public Works, Building, and Environmental to make sure that so when a permit is issued through ISD, we have to get environmental involved to get the rodent control underway before we issue permit. But when Public Works issue their permit, we don't necessarily have a rodent control plan in place. So we're going to coordinate that effort with Public Works so they can check in with ISD prior to issuing any permits moving forward. Sometimes I know they do emergency works as well. When emergency works are permitted, we also ask them to notify rodent control and Leo's team so he can sort of step up his team's plan over there. So I asked him what he was doing in terms of rodent control. He did say that part of your catchment area has always been an issue, always been a problem for his team. He said he was going to come on and share like what his guys do as far as baiting and setting traps and stuff. So hopefully we'll get an update from Leo before the meeting end. But with the permitting, we're gonna The after hours and weekend permit, those are all issued on a weekly basis. So they have to be in by Friday. For any weekend and after hour permits has to be in by Friday. So we're gonna start monitoring to make sure that we're not allowing too many at the same time. So they're only gonna issue the ones that are really necessary or really needs to be issued for weekends and after hours, so we don't create more problem there. So I'll ask them. I'll take any questions that you have in terms of permitting, and then we'll go from there.
We do have a question that came in, but I think I might first have us start with permitting, and then Christine will come back to your question. Awesome question, thank you. Does anyone
Okay.
have specific questions about the permitting process, the last minute permits, the construction that's going on?
This is Ann Sheridan. I do. I'm at 22 Union Park in the midst of 4 gut rehabs. And we have constant Saturday permits. And I'm questioning, what do you consider really necessary? Because when you have 4 of them, you get, maybe you're lucky if you have Sunday where you have a quiet day. And that's just inconsiderate of neighbors. So I'm
Yeah.
because I don't see what I see happening on Saturdays as necessary. So I'm questioning what is necessary that it has to happen on a Saturday.
Yeah, you are right about that. Union Square's been one of our areas where we get a lot of complaints, and I was just out there with a complaint about possible asbestos going into people's apartment, but we checked it out with Public Health Commission. I think they cleared that up. So I think with the weekends, they sort of it's just trying to like maybe expedite the job so they're not in your neighborhood a long period of time. So they try to do weekend work. So Sean did say, Mr. Leiden, who's the assistant commissioner, did say that he was not going to allow too many weekend permits going on at the same time moving forward. So it's not too disruptive over there. So we are looking at Union Square for the after hours and
Look
weekend.
look real hard, because
Yeah.
this is going on the 3rd summer that we're going to have disruptions. And if you can't even get a Saturday, you know how much it rains on weekends. So you can't get a day when you can be outside and have quiet.
Yeah.
So unless it's necessary, like the building's going to fall down, it's going to burn down, water's going to pour out, have some mercy on the residents.
I know that water and sewer was there for a little bit, and National Grid was in your area as well. So we'll have to sort of all manage that and see how we move forward with the permitting issues.
Yeah, understand, we're not talking about major utilities. We're talking about
Mhm.
residential construction of
Personal
developers.
personal construction.
Yeah, personal, not, to impact the whole neighborhood because the power's out. We're talking about individual buildings having construction on
Yes,
weekends.
So
I'll make sure.
Flavio, is there something constructive that we as a neighborhood could improve to voice our concerns? Like number one, you showing up is awesome and we appreciate that. But is there something else? Because you're saying that you guys do receive our complaints. Is there something we can do to improve this process?
No, I mean, this is the first email I've received from your group with the complaint. So, now you have my contact. You feel free to call me anytime.
This is Ann Sharon again. Sorry to interrupt, but I have had conversations with Sean Leiden. I know him well, and we're still in the same boat of, outrageous noise disruption to our living. It's just unconscionable.
Not just Union Square, it's Upton Street.
Yeah, Upton Street's got the same, the odd side of Upton, the even side of Union Park. It's a disaster to live here.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it sounds
somewhat new. I'm somewhat new to IC. So I used to be with Neighborhood Services, and I transitioned over there. I'm trying to understand a little bit more too about the permitting on weekends and after hours. So I'll be sure to sit down with Sean after this meeting to go over a plan that I can share with you folks and moving forward.
Thank you. And it sounds like there is one other question, which was, What should we do when we know construction is occurring on the weekend without weekend permits? Is there someone that that person should contact?
Yeah, for sure. So we do have a manager on call 24/7. I'm one of the managers on call, so you could feel free to report it to 311, but in addition to 311, you can also reach out to me. I have a list of all the permits that are uh, issued after hours and weekends, and then I have a list of the inspectors who are on call to go out. So in addition to 311, you can also feel free to reach out to me, and we'll make sure to get someone out real time to address the issue.
Thank you so much. And it sounds like also they probably do the same thing for another question that came in about if an alley is blocked by construction vehicles and the people who use the alley can't get in, the same procedure. They do 311 or they'd contact you directly.
Yeah, if it's during work hours, you contact me as well, because I'm the during work hours, I also manage all the emergency calls that come in. And the same after hours, you through 311. If you don't get any response, you can reach out to me as well.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions specifically about the construction or permitting before we move on to rodents? Doesn't look like it. All right. So just to give everyone who hasn't been up on the rodent situation, it's been escalating. There's certain areas of our neighborhood that seem to be seeing it a little bit more. I met with six people from who represented Villa Victoria, as well as Vegigantes, the restaurant. We had a manager from there, custodial staff to talk about their systems. And we're all going to work on some changes. Little things that they are doing is they're getting new dumpsters that don't have holes in them. They are working with the trash company to see if they can get a third removal day for the back alley. The trash from the restaurant is collected daily between, I can't remember the exact time, I believe it's between 3 a.m. and 11 a.m. They can't control what time it's picked up, but they put it out by 3 a.m. So they also are going to be in touch with the company that they work with for rodent remediation, who does come to the property once a week and check all the traps, but see if there's something that they can do to update their system. I think part of the problem is that everything keeps going back and forth with the rodents. And so we as a board will start looking into options to possibly work as a neighborhood to hire a company, which is very complicated. But that is something that we are just starting to talk about. But of course, that is why we wanted to include ISD to see if there are suggestions of what we should do. And I know Christine had posed a question, which also is about trash removal. Villa Victoria, every single apartment or home has a trash bin that they put out. They do not put trash bags out on the street. They all have bins, whereas we all don't have bins. And that might not be a solution because not everyone has a place to store their bins. So we are trying to think about what we can do as a community. But I don't know if Leo had jumped on or Flavio, if the hot seat's back on you. But for us to know and move forward, we want to know what the city is doing. I don't know, it sounds like a lot of people on here from early chatter have already reported, dead rats to 311 and called things in and have the city come. But what is the city's procedure? What are they doing to improve this? And what can we as a neighborhood do?
So it doesn't look like Leo's on here yet. So he did say that, that specific area has always been a problem for his crew. He did say he was going to try to up his manpower in the area. And then I think he said if we can coordinate a little bit better with all the construction going on and public works to make sure that there's bathing and traps set prior to allowing any digging up, that would help the situation. He also said he was going to have a team out there to distribute some literature, some information on proper disposal of trash, recycle items. He says that can also contribute to the spike. So he was going to have a team to do some outreach to hand out some leaflets to inform the residents and folks out there and business owners on proper disposal of trash. But I think his plan was to up manpower in the area. He wanted to know specifically maybe areas where areas where you have seen spikes or there's more problems, so I can maybe take this back to him.
Oh, sure, I could not unmute myself. If people want to add to the different areas, the alley behind Upton Street, the name of it is escaping me right now. What is it? Anyone? Draper, thank you.
Draper.
And then 701 alley number 7. That's another alley.
Alley 7.
701.
Okay.
In Ivanhoe, which is off of Draper.
Thank you. I knew there was one more.
That's the street, Ivan.
Yep. And that it borders another community. And again, we're trying to work with them because clearly there's no, actual barriers between things. Yeah, Beverly, do you want to unmute yourself? Do you have a question? Oh, yeah.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much, Flavio, for coming and talking to us today.
Welcome.
I live on Upton Street, and we are opposite Vejigantes Restaurant and also the dumpster. And both of those are, I think, responsible. I just want to show you a photograph that I took today, and I don't know how to attach it, but here it is.
Okay.
If you can see it, this is a dead rat this morning on Upton Street. It's 14 inches long. It's
Wow.
as big as a cat. And we have holes, which I sent to the president. We have holes in where we used to have a garden, just a little strip. And there are 6 holes that are enormous. I mean, they're like this big in our little strip of garden. We have to cement it over. We can't have a garden there. And we believe that we don't have any construction going on Upton Street. It's not about the construction. These rats are growing on food and grease. And I have seen in the back of Vejigantes, they chop vegetables back there. They store food back there. And those rats they're living there. And in my 30 years of living on Upton Street, I've seen rats, but they're like, 6 inches, 8. These are monsters. And our concern is also that they're digging all these tunnels underneath the road. And I've seen rat holes right near the dumpster, the fence around the dumpster. There are rat holes right where the poles are. And they go in, they have lunch or dinner or breakfast, and they go in those holes, and then they burrow underneath the street. And I'm afraid that the alleyway and also our parking area, which is cement, it's riddled with rat tunnels. I'm afraid it's going to collapse.
What's that parking area? Where is it located?
On Draper Lane.
Draper Lane.
All of them they're all concrete. And if there are rat tunnels underneath those, and just in ours, we have 6 holes. So I'm concerned that the concrete is going to be destabilized.
Okay.
I
So
think
it's 2 issues. It's the health, it's the terror, going out to take out the trash and encountering one of these creatures is a terror. It's scary.
I
And
can imagine.
so really appreciate, and we've called ISD, we've made complaints. We've bought our own, we have 2 rat traps out there. They don't go near those. They're very smart.
So I think we can do, Beverly, thank you so much. I think as you all might have heard Beverly say, she did send some photos, which I haven't looked at yet because she sent them, I think right about 7. We have been collecting photos, not widespread, but we definitely will, and to have more information. So Beverly, thank you for bringing that up. And I also think probably what we will do is possibly not at this forum, but I think that especially at least the board, we will be sure to be in touch with you, but also Leo, because maybe he can give us some updates on what the city's doing so we can
Yeah,
be more
I
targeted?
think it'll be helpful if maybe I could help set up a quick walkthrough with the environmental team and the I&E team, just to set a time. If a few residents are, if you're available, we can set a time to go and just do a quick walkthrough and just take a look firsthand and see the issue. So that might be helpful for Leo's team to sort of see where exactly the problem is. I think that
Flavia,
could be
this is Bob Williams. I also live adjacent to Draper Lane. And one of the things that I can add to what Beverly is saying too is that you had mentioned the city is going around and servicing traps, but I looked around the area where the dumpster is and all around the building where Vegigantes is, and there's no traps around the dumpster, and there's one trap on the corner of Ivanhoe and Draper that hasn't been touched in years. So there's really no bait traps at all to help, get rid of those rats that are feeding off of the dumpster. So that's an issue as well.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. I know that Leo has to get plans from the restaurant too. They have to do their part in setting up as well. So that's something that we could take up with them as well. So in addition to what the city does, Leo gets a plan from each the businesses with what they're doing on their end to make sure that they're setting up traps as well where needed. So we'll take a look at that as well.
So
Yeah,
Someone
think
else
that'll
raised
be-
their hand and I lost it. If someone just raised their hand to say something.
this is Jessica Rubenstein. My house backs up, my patio backs up to Ivanhoe, which is the T to Draper. And just so you know that I had rats in my patio pots this winter, had them covered. I spoke to someone from the city who came out and looked around and said he was baiting the sewer. But I just want to add some fuel to the fire. It's bad.
Okay, so Ivanhoe, 701 Alley, the restaurant Vehigante, Upton Alley, those are like the
In Draper.
Draper.
And Flavia, this is Christian Belzano from 590 Tremont. I live on the corner of Upton and Tremont, and I could tell you on trash nights, it's a parade watching the rats run out to the garbage and then run back to the alleys.
Okay,
Just on Tremont in that area, they're pretty prevalent as well.
Upton and Tremont, okay.
I want to add that the passageway behind Union Park on the even side between Union Park and Waltham Street is a problem too.
Passage behind Union Park. So yeah, if someone can, I don't know if someone wants to take a lead, maybe you could use my email. We could set up a walkthrough with Leo's team and my team. We can go in, we could do after hours if necessary. We could do, weekends, during hours, during work hours, whatever works for the
Thank
neighborhood.
you. And Counselor Flynn, I think, is your hand raised?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Abigail. And I just wanted to respond briefly and thank you for letting me speak and apologize for being late. I had several Zoom meetings earlier. I had a hearing late last year on pest control and illegal dumping in the city. We focused mostly on Chinatown, but I'd like to go on that walkthrough with you, Flavio, and the residents. And
Sure.
as we approach budget season, this is something that I will advocate for the South End community, is more pest control outreach. And I think it's a critical issue. If that issue is not working for you, residents will leave the city. That's how important it is. So I take these quality of life issues very seriously. When there is a meeting scheduled, please let me know. And I want to go there personally with you guys. Thank you.
Sure, we'll include your office. Yep, sure.
And it looks like GRA, I'm not sure if you wanted to still speak, but you added in the corner of Upton and Shawmut were other areas to add to Flavio's list. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, that's it.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Covered in rights, thank you.
Hi, this is Christine. If I can ask a question, please. I've lived in New York for many years, Boston for many years, San Francisco, Back Bay, South End, you know, and also, you know, London, and it's amazing to me that after, you know, 10 years of being gone in the South End, living on the same street on Upton Street, that it seems like the trash issue and rodent issue is worse than when I left 10 years ago. It's just mind blowing to me how, and then you walk 10 blocks over to the Back Bay, and although the city has a rodent issue in general, they don't have the depths of what we have, right? And it's amazing to me how the South End and this neighborhood and the, you know, very expensive neighborhoods next to it don't get the attention that they need and should and deserve, frankly, on these quality of life issues that create disease, create unpleasantries, only add to the issues, right? You know, you look at Europe, and I think it's Amsterdam or a couple of other cities, they actually have underground containers that people throw their trash bags into. There's never any waste on the sidewalks. The trucks come by a couple of times a week, open up the containers, and off they go to wherever they go. The fact that we are putting out trash bags overnight is something from, you know, the 19th century. It really is. And you know, I think there should be some kind of best practices from other neighborhoods between trash management and rodent management, and for Boston to take on some kind of modernization. You know, look, if we want to be a world-class city, then these are some of the basics of being a world-class city. So why don't we try to take that on and be an example of how these things could be done well in a very densely populated urban area. That's beautiful.
Thank you, Christine. I think let's do one more, Monica, and then Flavio, I know we're inundating you. So please, everyone know this is just literally the beginning of the discussion, and this will 100% be continuing. This has already been something we started with the board. Again, we are already in really open, good conversations with the Villa Victoria. So Monica, why don't you ask the last question or make the last comment?
No, thanks, Abigail. And just to echo what Christine said, I've lived on Upton Street. I'm at 11 Upton for 15 years. And it's been the last like 3 years that it really has seemed like the rat problem has gotten much more extreme. And I have a dog, so I'm out walking constantly. And Flavio, just to add to your list, you know, at night, when I kind of do the bedtime walk with the dog, I walk up, typically I walk from Washington to Shawmut on Union Park Street. And I see a lot of rats, like more than I've ever seen. I mean, I don't want to pick on the Buttery because I love the Buttery, but I always see rats in the trash there. You know, they have their trash out every night there on Union Park Street right before Shawmut. And, you know, I think they're doing everything they can. I'm sure like many places are, but I just want to add that to your list. I never used to see the kind of, or the size, as I think Beverly said, of what I've been seeing over the last, you know, probably 2 years. Thank you.
So it's Washington and Shawmut.
On Union Park Street.
Union Park Street. Okay.
Thank you.
And then one more, it looks like to add to your list is Newland at the bottom of Draper Lane. And there's a playground area there where there's often a lot of trash. We've heard that a lot. And then that, I think the graffiti question, we definitely have on the docket for at some point. I think Chris Haynes asked that. That is something that we have been talking about. I think in the interest of time, since you don't have it on the docket today, please know that we are talking about the graffiti, and it's something the board actually at our last meeting was talking about. But Flavio, thank you so much. Please, again, everyone, feel free to send pictures to me or concerns. Please know that this is just the beginning of the conversation, and that Flavio has very nicely shared his contact information at the beginning of the chat, but you are also you know, welcome to use 311, and probably we'll get more information from Leo about contacts for that, since he is he and I will follow up outside of this meeting, I think. Anything
Yes,
else, Flavio, you need to know?
I'll be looking for an email to to set up a walkthrough with environmental I&E team and the counselor's office, and then I'll share all my notes with Leo, and then I'll address the construction permit as well with Sean and get back to you guys about plan.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening. Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I'll stay on just in case something comes up.
Thank you so much. So we're completely changing things. And again, thank you everyone for using the chat for questions. I'll make sure that I go through anything that I missed, and I'm writing down notes for things we're not getting to. But Elizabeth, okay, we're gonna see if I pronounce your name correctly again, Butel. We're gonna have you come on. Elizabeth is representing SEBA to update us on local businesses and what's been going on there. And again, if you took yourself off of mute, please throw yourself back onto mute for the beginning of her conversation. Let me see where she is.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect.
I just took myself off mute.
Thank you.
Nice to see a lot of familiar faces. We actually have Sheila Grove, I see. She's actually on our board. For those that are familiar with SEBA, or also known as the South End Business Alliance, I became president back in October of last year and have been part of the board for about 3-4 years. My job that pays my mortgage is I'm also director of sales for the AC Hotel in the Ink Block. SEBA is a business alliance organization, and we strictly focus on the businesses within the 4 walls of the South End. We are a volunteer board. We focus on providing resources, whether it be operational support, marketing support, contractual issues. Recently this past year, obviously we've been doing a lot of PPP and grant conversations with owners. We also do analytics on the South End. So I'll be sharing those with you, Abigail, when we're finished with them, a comparison of how many businesses have been lost or gained since 2019 and through the pandemic. I'm happy to say that we've actually gained businesses in the South End, but the majority of the businesses were lost or temporarily closed for really the restaurants, food industry services. But we did actually increase more than 100 new businesses in services. And I'll be sharing those analytics with you. And it's kind of interesting data once you really kind of dig into it. We organize consumer strolls. So previously Shop Local, so Shop South End Local, used to create these little strolls. We've now taken those on and incorporated all of the South End. So we want to bring consumers to the area to spend some money. We're looking to bring new residents to the area and display the lifestyle of the South End. So that's really like a major focus of ours. And then Eve Ward, who is our previous president, has taken on the position of being our neighborhood liaison. So Eve specifically will be working with each of the neighborhood associations to bring on business representatives to represent the business in your neighborhood with SEBA. And so if there's an urgent need of something going on, or there's a business in distress, or there's an obstacle, we will take on that challenge. I'll give you a recent example of Code 10. I've known Nick since he owned Code 10, and he had filled out grant paperwork, and he needed to renew his business certificate, and his grant was about to expire if he didn't get the certificate. Obviously, under pandemic, it's a little bit challenging, takes a little longer to work with the city to get your renewals. So I called the president of that grant company and said, hey, you better hold his money. He's working on this. And he did it. And so I said to Nick, you're good to go. Send a copy of the certificate when you've got it. And we're there to kind of, help kind of bridge those obstacles, because small businesses are not like big corporate America. They either don't have the resources or the knowledge to kind of get them through some of these hurdles. But our board has all that experience. Randy Lathrop is also on the board. John Chambers, who's now transitioned over to Webster Bank, is now with, not Webster Bank, Berkshire Bank. We have Eve Ward, who has her concierge business. Carolyn Kraut has her concierge business. We brought Ali from GTI Properties, has just joined the board. Really the focus is that we don't get involved with the social issues. So we leave that to the Steve Foxes of the world, but we're there as a supporting, strictly the businesses themselves. We've revamped our website, which is cbaboston.com, and I really encourage people to go there to take a look. It's a list of all the businesses. We find consumers go there all the time to find out information about parking and what shops. We just finished launching a program with Blackstone Franklin called Buy a Bite, where we had $5,000 of charitable funds, and we bought $5,000 worth of gift cards to local South End restaurants. And we've paired them up with retailers. Some of them are actually in your community, where they can use those gift cards to incentivize business, like purchasing of goods and services. And we want to continue that. We want to do more partnership programs with the neighborhood associations and get them also involved in projects that South End Business Alliance is doing. Stroll being the next one, which is mid-May. It's going to be the weekend of May 14th, 15th, and 16th. So I do, Abigail, want to challenge Union Park to maybe come up with an activity that weekend that would engage people to come and spend some time in Union Park. I'm also working with David at Stonegate to try and see, because we have that empty space. So to see if we can kind of use any kind of empty retail space to create a pop-up or an activation or something that really kind of brings people to kind of experience the neighborhood. The biggest piece is really, demonstrating the lifestyle that people live here in the South End. We want to profile with the city and get more funding to be able to market and promote. Everything we do at South End Business Alliance is funded typically through our membership, through corporate sponsorship, but we get very little money from the city and the state. And so I've been working really closely with the Conventions and Visitors Bureau and the city to try and change that, because we know that a lot of the funds go to places like the North End or Back Bay, and the South End is really underrepresented from a tourism perspective, and we really want to make that a bigger piece of it. We need people to be spending money here, but if I can put that out, and Abigail, I'll send that to you later on. If you guys can kind of think of a project or some kind of activation you can do that weekend, we can use that as a promotional piece. Maybe you do something that raises funds for a local nonprofit, anything that could be parks, whatever. I mean, we're open to it. I have a conversation with Caroline from South End Soccer. We're looking to kind of see, maybe we can do a scavenger hunt throughout the South End, another component. But that's like overall, like we're a membership base. Our board is completely 100% volunteers. We've also have like new people, like Cathedral High School has now joined as a member. Gifted just joined as a member. So our membership base has grown exponentially even through the pandemic. We waived fees for the back end of 2019, 2020, and then straight through to April 1st. So every business in the South End was a member of the South End Business Alliance. So we promoted everybody. And we did that because we knew that there was a need for it. And then starting now, April 1st, we've actually reduced our fees. So it's gone down to $265 for the year. But in that $265, you also get us actually marketing for you. So we'll go do some photography, we'll do some social media ads. And that too is something for many small businesses. They don't have the ability or the access to kind of do it. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I did in the chat, I have the link to SIBA Boston there. Oh, and thank you, Elizabeth, you put your contact information as well. Does anyone have questions about anything that we can be doing or businesses we should be looking out for, anything like that?
And thank you, Bill. Hingham Savings Bank. I don't know, I'm having a brain moment. I couldn't think. I was going Berkshire, Webster. What the damn name is that bank? And then also from the South End Business Alliance, like from the AC Hotel, we want to make sure that all the neighbors know that you guys have an exclusive rate with the hotel. It's the biggest discount that's offered. And we also do emergency rates. So for example, we were talking earlier, the Troy building had a water main break. And so we've taken all those neighbors in. when Harrison Avenue had the water main break, we've taken them in at a deeply discounted rate. So we want to make sure that it's available to you, your friends, your family that come in to visit you. You can call the hotel and just ask them for it. And Abigail, I'll send you a code if people are Marriott members. They can go online and book it as well. But feel free. We're looking forward to the days when we can have events and, you know, invite people to come and have a cup of coffee and have a cocktail. So we're hoping those days are come soon.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and for waiting this whole time to be able to join us. And we really appreciate it. And all this information is wonderful. We want to keep our neighborhood thriving. So we really appreciate what you guys are doing. And thank you for joining us. And it doesn't look
No,
like
thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, I'll share a lot of the statistical stuff with you. I got it.
I'll be sure to share that out with everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Jay, you are next up for the treasurer's report. Hopefully you'll be able to share your screen, Jay. If not, let me know. And
I'm the treasurer of UPNA and have been for the past bunch of years. The financial condition of the organization is reasonably strong. You can see we have 3 separate accounts. With Cambridge, there's a UPNA account, column C, there's a Friends of Union Park account in column D, and then there's a tree account that was set up many years before my arrival. And we've deposited some additional funds in the tree account just to avoid setting up 5 separate accounts. The Alan Seletsky a memorial fund was started a number of years ago when he passed away, and we've been using that money for neighborhood events for the most part. We haven't had any in the past year due to the pandemic. And then a number of years ago, we raised some money for some crosswalks on Tremont Street and have had some difficulty getting them approved through the city. And so that money is just sitting in the account. So, you know, combine the crosswalks, Seletsky and Tree are all in one actual bank account. And so you can see in column H the total amounts for all the accounts combined, and then column I, I've excluded the amounts from Seletsky and the crosswalks. There's also a CD with Hingham Bank of roughly $10,000, $11,000. So including all funds, we're at $53,000 total, which is more than enough to keep us going for quite some time, even if we were to exclude the crosswalks and the Seletsky money. You know, we're talking about $38,000. And the donations side on columns K, L, and M, you can see the totals that have been given to UPNA, FUP, and the Tree Fund over the past number of years. 2020 was a down year. Not surprising, given people have been concerned about other things going on in the world around the pandemic and social justice and giving to other additional worthy causes, but we still brought in $17,000+ in the past year. And you can compare that to our spending in the lower left-hand corner. Spending in 2019 was a total of $16,000+, and the spending in 2020 dropped to $11,500. So while our donations were down somewhat, our spending was also down. The biggest difference in the reduction in the spending, not surprisingly, is our events, the annual holiday party, and then the summer events. One thing I did neglect to mention, and that's in row 34, Abigail, if you want to highlight that, the current balance. So there has been money coming in. Our year-end email distribution for donations has brought in some money. There was but anyhow, our total amount is up in the FUP account in particular. And so I neglected to mention that since year end, We're up from $38,000 to close to $43,000, excluding the CD. So that's pretty much the report from the treasury function of Union Park Association.
Thank you. Does anyone have any specific questions about the funding? And sorry to have cut in there when we, depending on how we get money from movies, they have different caveats. And so for the recent movie, they were happy after a lot of work from Jamie and I to give some money, but we did have to sign an agreement. So if anyone is on our Facebook or Instagram accounts, you might have seen that we didn't post any photos of the movie, things like that. But we didn't care because they did end up deciding to give some money, but we unfortunately are not able to share the details of what they gave us. But does anyone have any questions about those numbers? No.
Hey Jay, this is Greg Herman. Just one question that I saw the street cleaning charge, but for the maintenance of the park area, where my understanding is there's funding that goes into that each year around a number of activities, but where is that in the annual expenses?
So I'm going to jump in, Jay, unless you want to. So the park on average is between $11,000 and $13,000. Because we didn't do a big fundraising campaign in 2020, we put in less. We tried to be as careful as possible. So in terms of the park, we've done a slow rollout of improvements. So we are on probably year 3, I believe, of a lawn improvement plan. That's where we wanted to start. Because about 2 years ago, half the lawn was pretty much mud. So we've been working on that and it's been showing some solid growth. We have a lot of shade. The next investment will be made around the flower beds. But we've been cutting some corners, doing our own plantings, just, trying to do things like that. So it's between 11 and 13. That doesn't include the almost 9,000 that we spent as a community to prune the trees in the park, which was, I believe, 2018. That money was included separately. And that was a special fundraising event that we did for the tree pruning. I don't know if is that enough information?
Yeah, no, that's helpful. But where does the funding, where does that come from? Because if it's $11,000, is that being funded from some other source than what Jay went through?
So when people make donations, they can either give to the UPNA or they can select to give to FUP, which is a committee within the UPNA. And a lot of people, for example, let's say someone wanted to give $100, they might do 50-50, or $500, they might do 400-100. So if it goes into FUP, that money is only used on the park, whether it's fountain maintenance, whether it's, we hope to update the holiday lights at some point, but we're working on the lawn and everything first. Mowing the lawn, all of those things. Whereas the money that goes into the general fund, it hits a variety of areas for events in the neighborhood. That again, we use Seletsky Fund right now, but the
Street cleaning
after trash day.
Street cleaning, yeah, the trash. I think we hire someone to go through the neighborhood to pick up trash on Tuesdays and Fridays after the trash trucks come through.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Any other specific treasury questions before we move on? The next step is the board vote, and then if there are other lingering questions, feel free to ask them. We have time for that.
Looks like Monica might have her hand up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do. It's accidental. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull up the board vote. Let me just share my screen again. Hopefully I don't remute myself. So these on the left side, is everyone seeing my screen? Any nodding? Yeah, okay. Are the current board members who are running again. And then on the right side are new candidates who are running. We don't have competition because these people fill the seats. We actually, I think, can technically go up to 14. So at this point, really what I want to do is move to accept the re-election and the election of the new candidates. I don't know if anyone wants to second first that. I'm not good at those things. First or second, whatever those things are. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see the chat. So is anyone comfortable seconding the vote, which would be re-electing and electing the new members? Okay, we have a second. Thank you. For meeting people, is that all I need, or do I need a third? No, I'm good to go. Okay, we're good. Perfect. Thank you. I don't usually run meetings, so not to this extent. Okay, so thank you. So our board will be meeting in April.
I should call the vote, right? So you've got, someone made the motion, someone seconded it. So now you call the vote on the board slate.
So, okay, you wait, can we say that
So
you've done that?
let me make a suggestion. Instead of having everyone vote or a bunch of people going off mute shouting yes and no, one way to possibly do it would be just to ask if anyone opposes. And then if it's completely silent, then we can consider it approved. And so, if you want to ask that, or I could ask it
Yeah,
on
did
your behalf.
anyone oppose those members being reelected and then the two new members? Doesn't look like, I don't see anything. Okay, thank you everyone for explaining that to me. This is my first time doing this. All right, perfect. So we have some time now to see if there's any questions. Just again, in summary, we're very much still in the first steps with the rodent remediation. So that's something that I've already done some mini walkthroughs, and we'll continue that, and we'll continue the conversation with Villa Victoria. We will continue working with ISD to make sure that they're aware of everything that's going on. More coming from the whole neighborhood than coming from single people living in the neighborhood. We're hoping our voice can become louder because it clearly is a huge issue. And then I'll share the information from the South End Business Alliance once I get all of that. Oh, 2 raised hands. I don't know if those are new hands. If you've raised, Beverly, did you raise your hand?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, perfect. So wait, let's just jump into questions or comments. Go ahead.
Well, I blocked out my video because I'm having my dinner. But I'd like to also bring, somebody brought up in the chats the graffiti issue. And there's now new graffiti on Ivanhoe and on Upton. And it's a serious problem. If you walk through the city now, there is graffiti everywhere and it's horrible. And they're gangs and they've just taken over the city. And I don't know what to do about it. Where do you start? It used to be that if you saw graffiti, you called 311 and they came immediately and scrubbed it down. But now, good luck. Good luck contacting anyone at 311.
Is definitely something that the board has been talking about, and we have it on our docket to continue discussing. We are starting to look into ways of improving that. I think we're probably going to be starting with the rodents first, but definitely know that we've already in the last, I think Christine was at the last meeting. Sorry, I'm calling you out. Yeah, okay. The last meeting, our board meeting, we were discussing the graffiti, and it's definitely something that we have on our list to work on. I think, again, the rodents we're kind of putting first right now, but we're also trying to figure out how we report the graffiti because people are definitely in agreement that 311 isn't really working as much right now.
I would just like to say you can't really put the graffiti on hold because graffiti breeds graffiti. So the more graffiti you have, the more graffiti you're going to get. So it really has to be dealt with right away. I mean, I know that the rodents are a big problem, but we're going to have more graffiti if we don't get rid of it right away. And if the city used to be really good at it, I know I've called 311 about some graffiti, but they don't seem to be coming out. And I would think it would be worthwhile if the city can't do it for Union Park to take some of its money and hire somebody to get rid of the graffiti around here because it's just going to increase. It's got to be taken care of right away.
Yeah, I completely agree with Sheila. It only gets worse as these individuals deem it's acceptable because no one's erasing it, right? And then they just pile on. there are things that you can get at Home Depot, like graffiti removal, which I've used, before. Get that in a wire brush and a bucket of water, and we can do it ourselves.
Is that okay on brick, though?
Yes, yes.
It wouldn't hurt, okay.
Yeah.
Could I make a suggestion? When you put it into the 311 system, if you could also email my office as well, and I could follow up with the mayor's office and with Kim, who's on from the mayor's office. And, we'll follow it from once we get it from 311 as well.
Great.
Counselor, maybe that can be part of the tour as well. And rodents and graffiti in the general area, because, since, the holiday time, there's more and more graffiti in this small little neighborhood in the matter of months. And, look, we all live in $1 million plus condos. And, I hate to sound elitist, but there's no reason this neighborhood should have this, regardless of per square foot cost. We pay our taxes. I don't see this in the Back Bay nearly as much. Where's our representation, and where are we getting our services for our tax dollars on these simple things?
We can add that to the list. If people want to not just send me photos of graffiti, but actually if you can add a location, you're welcome to send that also to the upna.president@gmail.com account. Again, if you don't have a location, then I'm not going to be able to add it to the tour. But if you give me as close of a location as you possibly can, that's something I'm happy to try to do if we can add that in.
And just one other issue is, it's budget season time now, and it's important for you to weigh in with your elected officials about what's important to you. The city might be cutting various services, but you have to focus on what's important to you, such as pest control, such as the schools, graffiti busters, public works, water and sewer. All of those basic city services are critical. So it's important for you to weigh in with your elected officials about what's important to you.
Thank you. Monica, do you have a question now? Yes. Okay.
So on a different topic, and this just really more goes to kind of the state of the finances of the UPNA. I know that in the last 9 months, there's been a lot of people moving in and out, at least on Upton Street. And, I don't know when the last time there was kind of a little bit of a publicity campaign for the UPNA. When I meet new neighbors, I've told them about it, because, there's lots of times we get good information from you or from other members of the UPNA board about what's going on in the neighborhood. But that's just a suggestion that, again, I'm not as familiar about kind of how much movement there's been on Union Park, but I know on Upton, I just see the for sale signs and the moving truck signs, and I know a lot of people who've moved out. So that's just a suggestion about at some point maybe doing a little publicity to get people to sign up, and that might be a way also to do a little bit of a fund raising effort. So
yeah, so great. Thank you. So we actually typically we have events in the park, which is often how we do that publicity. And we actually have a new plan of having packets that we can hand out. We also have a member of the board who's exploring working with real estate companies to have packets that are given out to new people who move into the area. That's something that we've just started exploring. We're sort of back and forth between sort of papering the neighborhood. We don't want to add to the issue, but we are considering, if we continue not to have in-person events, doing something like we did with the tree fundraising and posting one single piece of paper with something that is removable tape to share information about the UPNA, because we don't have, because of COVID, we don't have those really publicly seen events in the park. So we are trying to think about a safe way to get the information out. So again, it's working with real estate brokers. That's just a new idea that we're going through. And in terms of fundraising, we also are considering, again, it's new, everything's sort of new that we're changing things up, but we also might have bags for the UPNA that maybe are sold at foodies, reusable bags or something like that. So we are trying to get the name out there more. Unfortunately, again, with COVID, we haven't had the events to sort of say, here we are. And our banner, we need a new banner. Unfortunately, it was stolen from one of our events. We're working on that as well. Thank you. Christine, is your hand raised or is that an old one?
No, sorry, that's old. I'll
Okay,
lower
cool.
it.
Christian.
Thank you. I had one other topic regarding the sidewalk on Tremont, on the corner of Upton and Tremont. It started to become really pitted over about a year and a half ago. The city did come in and they did a temporary patch with asphalt, which, to be quite honest, was still a pretty dangerous solution, Councilman, because it was so bumpy. We've actually seen people trip and fall to the ground there. But regardless, the city said that they needed a good, I think it was a year to 18 months to come back and actually properly fix the sidewalk. They just came back a couple weeks ago and put another patch of asphalt down, which has already been removed. So I'd like to raise that or put that on your plate as an item to see corrected the proper way. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did write, I think you made the comment before. I had that written down as you on the chat. Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
something, I will look into seeing maybe who we might contact for that. Or I don't know, Counselor, if you have a sense.
It would be a public works issue. So we can follow up with Public Works on that tomorrow and hopefully get you an answer as soon as we can. And just to let you know, Sophia Wang from my office is also on this call as well. So she takes notes and she lets me know about a lot of these issues, but I'm going to follow up on that one tomorrow.
I think you're on mute there.
Got it. Thank you. So I think Kim put something in here for contact at the mayor's office. Thank you, Kim. And then I don't know. I hope I don't pronounce your name wrong. It was either Sherry or Cherry Hill was going to drop by the meeting. I don't know if you want to say hello to people.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Hi, everybody. My name is Sherry Hill. I work for State Representative Aaron Michaelwitz in Constituent Services. So I will also put my contact information in the chat. It's my mobile number. I'm working from home. And feel free to give me a call or text me about any state related issues or city related for that matter, anything that you'd like to talk about, and also my email. So thank you. And it's nice to meet everyone.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or concerns before we end the meeting? Oh, Christine, wait, did you raise again? Okay,
I do. I'm very passionate about, where I live, which is a reason I returned from New York and I bought on Upton a second time. So I'm very vocal tonight. So excuse me if I've taken too much mic time. Councilman and others, do you have an idea of any time horizon that you might have and on getting back to us on some of these issues at all? I mean, these are pressing quality of life issues, and I understand that, the way government works and a lot of people have to be brought in and consensus building, et cetera. But are these 30-day, 60-day, 18-month issues? Do you have any idea of when we could reconvene and perhaps even get an update of how these conversations are going along?
Yeah, right. I'm going to follow up. Anyone that knows me in my office, I respond right away and get back to people. So I hope to get back to you within 2 days with a brief update on what the communication was with various city departments. At least get the ball rolling so it's in the system and they are aware of the problem and that it needs to be addressed. And from then on, we we keep a track of ongoing constituent related issues, and we'll continue to update you on the status and progress. But hopefully by the end of the day, Friday, I can give you a quick update on the 3 issues that you guys highlighted for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else have any concerns or questions?
Hi, I just want to hop on and just introduce myself really quickly. I'm sorry, hopped on a bit late from another meeting, but I'm Kim Crusilli, the South End and Bay Village liaison from the mayor's office. I know I missed the first half of the meeting, but any of the issues that you've talked about or brought up, please feel free to call me or shoot me an email. I can help as well. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank
But it's
you.
nice to see everyone.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna try to post this on Zoom, but maybe what I'll do is I'll email you, unless it's a ridiculously hard file to email, so you can see what the beginning part of the meeting was.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we're good. So thank you everyone for joining us on our first Zoom neighborhood meeting. Again, I will at some point figure out how to put this onto, I believe, YouTube. We're just trying to settle that, what makes the most sense there, so people will be able to see the Zoom. And we'll be following up on everything. We appreciate everyone's input. And if you ever want to volunteer to do anything in the neighborhood, please look out for those emails. We're always looking for volunteers. The board is all volunteer. So all of the events we have are all volunteer. So anything that people can do, we really appreciate that. And also feedback in terms of different things not working right, just as much as constructive information you can give me. Again, like not just a picture, but also locations, things like that. I can do a lot more with that. So thank you so much, everyone. It was so nice to be able to see everyone, and have a good rest of your evening. Order takeout.
Thanks,
Bye.
Abigail. Well
Thank
done.
you, Abigail.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Abigail.
Abigail.
Abigail.